Welcome to the Nailed It Wall.
On this week's episode of the Nailed It Wall, we welcome our fearless leader, a two-time guest to the Nailed It Wall, Mr. Galietti. We're going to chat about what it's like for our school going through all this, inform you, the parents, our community, what's going on from your side, and try to bring some upbeat happiness to everybody. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Welcome to episode 39 of the Nailed It Wall. I'm Mr. Lane, the STEM guy.
And I'm Mrs. Scofield.
And I'm Mr. Galietti.
Well, this is an exciting time. We are respecting social distancing. We are recording our second pod with Zoom. Now, Zoom and Google Meet has been like the big thing of all of education, how it's going to change everything. And here we are, all in our own homes, recording a podcast. But as we start every episode, we want to start off with, how did we nail it this week? There could be a lot of great nailed it. There could be a lot of not so great nailed it as parents, spouses. It could be anything. Mrs. Scofield, how do you nail it this week?
Well, we had a lot of good highlights. I had a really epic, it's a big fail on my part. We've had a lot going on, recently. And you and I were trying to juggle a lot with the training that we were trying to put together. And so yesterday morning, I kept, when you get updates for your iPads or your computers, like I am a chronic, remind me tomorrow, don't just later. It's never a good time. But I took the iPad out and I was like, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm having my coffee. Right now I can do this update. And the new update for the iPad Pro, it makes you choose a passcode. You can't bypass it anymore. So I'm
sure?
Okay, yeah. So just for the setup. Okay, well, it's a moot point really. So anyway, it wouldn't let me progress. There was nothing skip for now, So it wouldn't let me progress. So finally I'm like, all right, I'm just going to pick something random, something stupid. I'm going to get in, I'm going to go in and change it. Well, then someone called me. And I got to tell you, I have no idea what I set the passcode to. And I cannot get back to the iPad. And this iPad has everything. It has everything. And so
I am literally just shaking my head.
I know, because anyway, so I didn't even know that I did this. I didn't realize what had happened until Ella came to grab the iPad. She's been trying to play around with Procreate. And she's like, what's the passcode? And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I'm locked out for hours because we keep trying. So anyway, and I didn't pick something that I normally pick because I was literally just going to go back in. So I'm going to have to, there's a workaround, right? You can wipe it. The only thing is it doesn't, that's an iPad Pro, so that I don't have a cord that attaches that to a computer. So I can't even do that anytime soon. So that was a pretty big fail, I think. It was a pretty big fail. Yeah.
I don't even know. I'm so thankful we're not together right now because you just shared that story with me. I'm just going to move on. I don't even have a rebuttal. All right, Mr. Galietti, how have you nailed it this week?
Yeah, well, it's been an up and down week for sure, but one of the positive nailed it was for sure our community caravan earlier this week on Tuesday morning. And most of everyone was in a car or an SUV driving around the neighborhood, and Mrs. Schubert and I were rocking around in our new cruiser. We'll call it the Galietti for now, because
I love
my
it.
favorite name so far. And as we came around the front of the bus loop, it was tight, so we were on the sidewalk trying to get to the back of the line, and I drove with my leg hanging out of the golf cart a little bit and drove straight through some cactus and spiked myself before the parade.
Oh,
I was trying
man.
to pull out spikes the whole marathon or the whole caravan.
That is awful.
So that was awesome. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I deserved it.
Wow.
Yeah, you're a native too. You would think that'd be some out of towner rookie mistake.
Just stupid hanging my leg out of the golf cart like you're not supposed to do.
Yeah,
Oh my
and,
God.
Yeah.
and talk about last week. Maybe Mrs. Schofield talked about how powerful that was. How powerful
Mhm.
was that day for you?
I think that it shows, I think the biggest, outside of all the other factors going around right now, I think the biggest thing we all crave is that connection to each other and that community feel that is strong everywhere, but especially at Sierra Verde. We're such a tight knit, close community. Just being out, 45 minutes through the neighborhood, it was just pure joy, pure smiles. Everyone, it just felt, a little bit of normalcy, which is what we needed right now. And I just thought that was such an impactful event. And I'm glad to see a lot of the other Deer Valley schools have done that since we have. And the results have been the same everywhere. Just it gives us that connection I think we're all missing right now.
So true. And the amount of signs that all the parents had out there, the kids had out there, and just how
And
happy they
yeah,
were.
the people driving out, on a variance that don't live in the neighborhood, all the families that came, I mean, the dozens of families that came that don't even live in the neighborhood, just because they want that connection. They want the kids to see the teachers. They want to see us and encourage us. And to be honest, we probably got out more, if not as much as they did from it. It was just an amazing morning.
My favorite
Yeah.
part was like when we would hit a cul-de-sac and we would all have to kind of loop around, and just like how excited
Yeah.
the teachers were as they kind of like caravan past one another and smiling, and just to hear all that joy on the teacher side. But the signs, I was telling Schofield, I was like, oh man, I just wish I had more time to read what these things the parents are writing.
Yeah.
Kids writing these long like messages on these signs, and I just absolutely loved what that meant for our community, and how many people were taking videos and sharing those on social media. I mean, Facebook, like almost, I think we were actually trending on Facebook for a while there.
Yeah.
With all those hashtags and the videos.
And I know I saw earlier this week, Arizona School Board Association tweeted us out too. They retweeted a video from one of the parents there during the community. And there were so many other community members there that have no connection to the school, but they just heard the ruckus and came out and joined in, which I thought was really cool too.
It was the absolute best. My kids just being a part of it, it meant so much to them. And I told Schofield, I'm like, I'm just so glad your kids got to take this in, and what this meant for people that don't even have kids, and they were out there just with the biggest smiles on their face, supporting. What Schofield says that last week, like everyone was, respecting social distancing, like they were in their yards for the most part.
Yeah, that was cool too. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was there was nothing more like a concrete example of community and people, like how every person in that equation needed that. The kids really needed
Absolutely.
it. The teachers really needed it. And then, and then definitely the parents. I mean, I imagine the parents are probably just so excited to see adult interaction, like I can't tell you how many times I do video conferencing now with like Janine and like Jolene, like people that just need that. Like, I just need to talk to somebody
Social
else,
people, right.
Yeah. So it's been, that was huge. I think it's so healing for a lot of us. And the thing is it's not like any of those people were demanding like, well, tell us what comes next, or like nobody's there to like shake us down for information.
Right.
It was like,
right.
They just came to have a moment, and then they left, and they didn't have any like ulterior motives or any agenda.
No, I think they were, kind of embracing, this new, however temporary norm we have of this social distancing, and being very cognizant of, still respecting all the guidelines that we're following, but still being able to participate in a really unique way. Yeah, it was really neat.
It's truly something that I'll never forget, as being someone that lived in the neighborhood, like moved across country just to teach at this school, and every single person means so much to my own children, and just the opportunity to work with all these amazing people. I'll just never forget that. Now, mine nailed it. It was, we put a lot of work in this week. We were teaching a Google Classroom level 2. Now, if you don't know what Google Classroom is, that's kind of like where teachers set up their classrooms to push work out to students. And the district's moving towards this home learning system for the next 2 weeks here. And we had the opportunity to work with some teachers that already had Google Classroom experience on Friday. We had a 2-hour session. And you never know how those go when you're not together. Me
Right.
and Christy, we do a lot of like teachings together, physically side by side, where we can kind of feed off each other. And we just had so much fun leading this, going back and forth, be like, oh, you do this, and this. And just the feedback from the teachers that were in there, they just felt so much more at ease. And I know Liz and Jenny did a great job. They had 87 people in there, intro to Google Classroom, and it was just so awesome. And we worked with them to kind of get an idea of like what this should feel like. And one of the teachers was like, where was this at the beginning of the year or the middle of the year? And we, were able to teach these teachers so many cool things using Google Meet. And, we just, it takes a lot of work to get these things in there and do everything the way you want to do it. But it was just so fun to do that with Christy and not skip a beat, even though like we weren't together physically. It was just to get those teachers ready and get them, put them at ease as we kind of move forward to this home learning setup.
Well, and the thing that was 2 things about that is, when we first got in there, and I don't remember, Tony, I think you came after everybody when you had the meet that you had with our whole staff, like a lot of people were already in there. And so Rob got in a little bit early and there were already people in there. And and he was like, get in here, and I'm fumbling. I don't even remember. I was trying to set up my AirPods anyway. I couldn't. So I got in there and he's like, warm up the crowd, kind of get the vibe. I know. And I can't get the AirPods still to work. I don't know why, but anyway, I'm more concerned about my iPad at this point. So I'm letting the AirPods go. So anyway, I get in there.
Apple, if you're listening, hook us up this week.
I know. I am a mess. And poor Ella, she's so done with talking her mom down from a ledge these last 2 weeks. Like, she's just like, she said, you're going to have to learn some coping mechanisms. Like, you're freaking out. So anyway, I go in there and I'm kind of trying to start a little chat, but it's because not everybody's there. So you don't want to launch into anything or whatever. And Rob is doing this amazing thing where he's like not on camera. So it's just me. And so I'm just on my own trying to like chat people. They're not having it. And so I'm like, this could be kind of awkward. Like, this might be like, you don't know what, and then the vibe, it was like, once we started and people kind of just like got some ease of like our style and like the interaction, they were so cool. And like the community, even within that, like teachers were sharing other ideas with other teachers in the chat. And it was like this huge collaboration, and we learned stuff. We got stuff from it, and it really was just such a cool, and the thing that's, this is an opportunity for the district. We were talking about this, Rob and I, like for the district to now see, hey, like new teachers, this should be like what we do right at the beginning. Going forward. Yeah. Right at the beginning, we train all teachers, because then it's seamless. Then you go into something like this and you never know, but the way that how much we get out of that stuff, like all of the G Suite apps and all that, man, it would set them up for success. It's like just one of those things that you don't know what you don't know, but now that we do, like, it's a really good opportunity. Yeah.
Like a prerequisite.
Mm-hmm. But we had a blast. Like, we really did. We had a blast. And those teachers, man, they are hungry to learn. They could have not gone to that. You don't have to go to a level 2
on a Friday.
Yeah, on a Friday. It's before the trainings are really starting, and they don't have to. Like, so kudos to every teacher that showed up for any of those things on Friday, but especially the people that came to ours, because it's not necessarily mandatory, but I'll tell you, they walked away with so much that we both know they're going to use those things. Yeah. Just from the dialogue and what we saw in there. And so that's a really cool thing. And like, it just shows you the kind of educators, like there's a lot of teachers that are not just going to meet the need, the new demand. They're going to rise to the occasion, and they're going to grow, and they're going to do an amazing job, which is so cool.
Yeah. It's kind of like, necessity is the mother of all invention. It's all of a sudden it really matters big time.
Yeah, it does.
Tony, you're a person that's constantly on the move. Now, what has been the hardest thing these last 2 weeks for you?
Oh, that's easy. I have a 1.5-year-old son, Luka, and his daycare shut down just like we did. And yeah, that's been challenging.
The visual is there for all
Yeah.
of us who have been there with especially a second born boy.
Yeah. If he was
Year and a half.
Let's just say if he was the firstborn, we'd only have one.
That's what I always said about Ryan as well.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy.
Now, from a professional standpoint, now, and I see that the walls are still standing in your house, so that's a good thing. Luka hasn't gone Tasmanian devil and just like taken the place apart there.
Yeah.
Now, what has been the hardest part from a professional standpoint for you as an administrator?
Probably the unknown is really the hardest part. I'm usually pretty calm through most, it takes a lot to rattle me. And I think Christy was saying that earlier. I see this as kind of an opportunity for us to, embrace this unknown. And I think that Deer Valley has been very wise in rolling it out a little slower than some schools and some districts have by extending this past week as an extension of spring break and letting us kind of get our feet under us and work through all the details that go into, overnight going to an all online environment. It takes a lot of work, and it'll be difficult to navigate for sure. There's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be issues that come up along the way. But I think taking the time to plan things out, keeping in touch with parents, and I'd say that's probably the biggest, my biggest priority now is getting just communication out as much as possible with staff, with our parents in our community, and then with fellow district staff. So I think it's been at least 1 or 2 meetings a day all this past week with all the principals and all the district leaders. And some of them have gone like 3 hours. Just because the scale and the scope is so wide to cover. And we don't know what the end date is. We don't really know how long we're going to be doing this. Selfishly, we'd like to get back on campus and get the kids back on campus as soon as we can, but we've got to do what's safe and what's right. So that's probably been the most difficult thing. It's just all the unknowns that are out there that we don't have an answer to. But I also take solace in the fact that we've got such an amazing staff and amazing community. We're going to do it better than anyone, however that looks. So I do see it as a way to get better, as an opportunity. When we do settle back into a normal school routine, whenever that may be, I think the skill sets we develop and the flexibility we have to adapt to right now is really going to pay dividends in the future. And teachers are going to have a much bigger toolbox to draw from, and it's only going to make us better.
Yeah, that's what I've said to Christy time and time again, and everyone in my PLC as well. I'm like, this is the time for people. Like, they're never going to go back. Like, they're gonna learn all these skills about a paperless classroom, Google Classroom, Canvas,
Absolutely.
to do all of these things. And they're like, why was I afraid so long of technology? Even still now, like with different things, people will reach out to me. It's like, I'm just so afraid. And I'm like, just dive in. I'm like, everything that we do, we have no clue how to do it. And these people are just going to become better educators. And the most important thing, our students are going to be better served because of, we're going to be stronger because of what we went through. But the education system as a whole, like worldwide, it's insane, like what's going on in terms of educators sharing resources, teaching others, and people willing to grow because there's no other choice at this time as we move towards home learning.
And I think that's a big thing. Is it's almost like almost like a wartime feel, like around the world, we're all in this together. So I think that does bring comfort that we're all going through this pretty much worldwide right now together, at least in this country, especially. And seeing so many companies step up and offer things for free and offer services for free, and all the stuff going around on Twitter and on social media, all the resources being shared. It really is opening up possibilities that people didn't realize were even out there, and now are being forced to use in some way or another. So it does kind of bring us together.
I couldn't agree more. Now, what can you say for your partner in crime? What has this been like working with Mrs. Schubert? Have you been working with the district and kind of working through all these logistics together?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't do it without Shelley. She is so tuned into the social emotional side of things and the well-being of staff and of, you know, she's been in education longer than I have, and she knows so much about Deer Valley that it's really been helpful for her to be able to reach out and you know, she developed and sent out a survey for
Love that
staff.
survey.
Yeah, and she's had so many people thank them for just checking in on them emotionally. How are you doing? What can we do to help? You know, and I think just as a team, we've probably over communicated, which I'm fine with, and trying to get out as much information as possible. If we say something wrong or we have to go back on what we say, I'd rather get people more information so they can plan and prepare and just know that we're on it and we'll be on it no matter what.
Well, I have to say, you know, in the conversations that I have had just in the last couple of days with a lot of the teachers, they definitely, they love the survey. That meant so much. Like, I can't even tell
that
you
was
how
all
many.
Shelley.
Yeah, how many different people said, like, that was so meaningful. And they all said, like, we're so fortunate, not just in our district, but like at our campus, like how you communicated to us so early, which I think was hugely helpful for all of us. And they all were saying how grateful they were about that, because like you said, it's just like, even if you don't have all the information, just share something, because everybody was kind of just floundering. And I think that really helped people kind of have, like, it would grounded everybody. And then it was like, okay, I mean, not that we have all the information, but we have something, and it kind of gave us our bearings. And so I know that was really helpful for me, but that's been like across the board, people are saying we feel very, very grateful for that.
And I think that's the key, because officially we weren't supposed to have any kind of staff meeting until this coming Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Shelley and I both said we need to get the team together before then, because we can't go that long without getting all together somehow. And I think, like Rob was saying, it's the same thing. Like I had never hosted a large Google Meet that big before. That was the first Google Meet I've ever hosted. And you just jump in and you dive in and you work through it. And I think everyone felt better, because I got to hear what feedback that, you know, all the questions that I don't see from my lens that you guys want answered. I got to get a heads up on all those, so I could try and get those answers and work on those before we officially go back to work next week. And I feel like we're really in good shape for Monday.
Oh my gosh, your meeting, I won't lie, I got a lot of giggles out of that. That was quite something. Now, this has become your new reality, right? Virtual meetings, like, constantly.
Oh, yeah.
So what have been some of your biggest challenges, and then some of the things that you just are like that have been amusing?
And I think it can happen to all of us, but people forgetting to mute their microphones or cameras. You know, there was someone eating a bag of chips. Their camera was muted, but we could hear them crunching away the bag of chips. Oh,
their video was off.
Their video was off, but you could that was almost worse. Just hearing the crunching.
It's like ASMR.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
And
that
it just
is hilarious.
And then every once in a while, someone will join in the middle of a meeting, unmuted, and you just get that reverberation and that echo for like 15 seconds before they realize what's going on. And that's all I can hear is those distractions. I get so obsessed with those. But other than that, it's really not been, you know, I love Zoom's got it. Google Meet has it. The chat feature is a great way to capture questions, and being able to record it and go back and go through those questions has been really helpful. Because when you have more than like 4 or 5 people in a virtual meeting, you're not really going to be able to get much talking. It's going to be a lot more like one-way information going back, just because of the logistics of trying to get everyone heard, muting, unmuting, presenting, unpresenting. It's just a lot. So being able to kind of, it's much more of a one-way, almost like fireside chat than it is like a true staff meeting where you can get a little more two-way communication. But it still allows you to push out all the information you need to push out and get a feel for just leaving time at the end for the questions. It's probably the most helpful thing.
Yeah.
Now, and talk about like community and keeping the community all together. I mean, like Monday, the Lean on Me video dropped.
Yep.
Tuesday, we did the caravan. On Friday, you had that the message from like SV teachers. You've
Yep.
been like posting like weekly or daily messages to the
Yep.
parents to kind of keep them informed, which I know everyone's really appreciated. The announcements are still going, so it's like there's that normalcy like within our
Yes.
community, and the Remind app among the teachers to kind of get that information out there. Now, what has been the hardest thing for you to kind of balance it all?
I think that line is probably how much is too much to share. Like not, I have a tendency just to talk and to make decisions without always getting clearance or permission, and asking for forgiveness instead of permission.
But we don't know what that's like.
Yeah. So there's some things I've had to reel back, or some things that have just, there's so much up in the air right now as far as, are we using Zoom with kids? Are we using Google Meets? You hear stories of some Zoom chats getting hacked inappropriately.
Zoom bombing. I told Christy
Zoom
about
bombing,
it.
yeah, exactly.
Zoom bombing. I was like,
Yeah.
and Christy knew what it was. I was like,
Yeah.
I thought I was teaching her a new word.
So
it is freaky though.
It is, but now there's features in place to prevent that. So I think there's just going to be some things we can't foresee. There's going to be some problems we're not going to be able to predict. And it's just a matter of, I think we have a lot of trust and capital built up with our community, and they know we're doing the best that we can. And, if we make a mistake, it's just like we tell our kids, we learn from it and we get better. And that's just the attitude we're all going to have through this. And I don't anticipate that being a problem at all. We are so fortunate, to be where we are.
I
can't
wait. I'm sorry. No, I was just gonna say, like, I just can't wait to whatever we're gonna do. I'm super excited to do it. Like, just because I miss teaching,
Yeah. Yep.
And even though it's gonna look different, I still miss teaching. And so I think that's part of the reason that Rob and I loved that class is,
right.
It's what we do. And so whether it's kids or adults, like, it felt so good to have to sit. I mean, maybe we didn't realize it felt good when we had to sit down and actually do the work, but it is fun to like puzzle stuff out and be creative. And
you're doing your part.
Yeah. And it did feel, it was so fun to teach, but like, man, I cannot wait to connect with my kids. Like, I cannot wait to do that. And, it's like, it's this waiting thing of, it's almost like, feels like we're waiting for the first day of school to start.
Yeah.
Although teachers have that mental, like, oh my gosh, summer's almost over. It's like that panic. This is without that. I'm looking forward to that.
And I think we'll also see, probably a generation of teachers who maybe haven't felt as confident in the classroom, really, if they have these tech skills, if they have the ability to build online instruction, they can feel empowered. They can feel like their skill set is valued now more than ever. And they can maybe help those who aren't as tech savvy and as able to make this transition so easily. And I think that helps build leadership and capacity in areas where we might not have had before. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for folks to step up, just like you guys are, that really have a skill set to share and that we can lean on, maybe people that we haven't before as much.
Yeah.
Now, I think also, as we kind of think about the rollout, we had this extended spring break this past week, and then the CIA team from the district is given lessons all for next week, so teachers can kind of prepare to move to this home learning setup next week. Because I've talked to multiple parents in other districts that are just so overwhelmed, and you talk about like the social emotional health of teachers, and these kids are just so overwhelmed already. Like with this, like you're in class every day, and then all of a sudden that's gone. And then you're just being bombarded like with work. And I've talked to multiple parents, and they're just so overwhelmed. And, we're both parents. All of us are, all of us are parents. And, to ease into this as professionals as well as parents, I think that has my mental well-being has meant so much to me.
Yeah. And I think that's true. I think it was very wise to extend this spring break. And then, I'll just talk to the parents a little bit right now. The plan is, this coming week on the 30th, in 2 days, the district has set up curriculum that's going to be in place for all of Deer Valley. So parents can go to the district website, dvusd.org/COVID-19, and they can just navigate to their grade level or grade levels if they have multiple kids. And there'll be a whole schedule for the week with activities for those kids to follow Monday through Thursday. And then Friday, there's a special social emotional learning piece available for all kids, which, like you just said, is a huge component of this. And then that way, while our students are getting that online learning this week, it allows our staff to get ready for next week, the following week, April 6th, and really have their classes dialed in on Canvas, Google Classroom, or for primary grades. There won't be as much online component, but there'll be schedules and readings for kids to follow at home with a little more choice. And that'll really allow us to do it right. I know, talking to other parents that have kids in other districts, it's kind of been like a free-for-all, and there hasn't been as much organization, or there's been way too many academic demands, and they kind of jumped in too quickly. So I really think we're wise and pumping the brakes a little bit and giving teachers time. Not that it's a lot of time, but giving teachers more time to develop lessons and curriculum and do it right, starting April 6th through whoever knows how long.
Oh, I thought you were gonna hop in
Sorry,
there,
I don't want to interrupt you. That's why I'm like,
no.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Like, how important this has been, from the parent side. Now, moving forward, as we're, easing this rollout here, as an administrator, what's your biggest concern moving forward?
I don't have a lot of concerns. I know there are some teachers who are going to be a little more stressed with getting their work up online that maybe don't have the background. Really, like I said, at SV, I don't have a very big concern. I know some schools are in a little, more dire straits because I also know how important it's going to be for us to team together and to work with each other to make this online learning and our curriculum as good as it can be. And I really want to stress the importance of just having our staff, and that's everyone from myself to teachers to the classified staff to anyone and everyone, to reach out to kids and just to connect with them on a personal level and just let them know that we do care about them, we do value them, and letting them know we're there for whatever they may need. The virtual office hours are going to be a requirement across the board for teachers to be available just for that, to be able to jump on a Zoom or jump on a Meet or a virtual meeting of some kind, and you can actually have a conversation with kids. And just really, I think that's more important right now than anything new academically, is just connecting with kids and letting them know they're cared for and loved, and they're still Vipers even though they're not on campus. We still love them and embrace them just as much, if not more, through this transition. And just making those connections with kids and parents that's priority one for me.
Now, through all this, what are your little tips of your home life? How has your home life changed?
Yeah, it's changed because my, Mateo, he's my first grader, and if he never left the house for a month, he'd be happy.
He's living his dream.
He's living his best life.
Yeah.
So he is taken to this. I don't think he even knows anything's going on. He's in his own world.
I love it. It's awesome.
But
live your life, my man. Live your life.
But Luka just has to get out of the house at least a couple times a day for walks or for car rides or for whatever, because he'll tear the house apart. So just that time cooped up. We're really lucky, like I know, excuse me, back east or up north where the weather is still bad, they're still in winter. It's not like they can go outside, go for a walk, or we're lucky we have this is the best time of year in Arizona. So we can get outside for walks, bike rides, scooter rides, hikes, runs.
and it's been crazy cool here in Arizona as well.
It
Like
has, I know.
I don't remember this late into March. I still haven't had my air off. Like, I mean, we have the windows open every day.
Yep.
It's just so beautiful right now. I talked to my dad, he's in Maine, and he was talking about how cold it was and how much snow they got in the ground the other day and how miserable it is. So you talk about a kid like Luka, he'd be like losing his mind.
Yeah, I'd be climbing the walls.
Yeah. And the thing I love about this, I try to tell my kids, and the one thing I struggle with my kids is they just want my attention all the time. And it's like one or the other. And so they just want me constantly. But it's been so much fun. And I just love seeing, the people are respecting social distancing. Like when I go by the park, and I love to see that, but I'd love to see the siblings and the families of how much like they're, slowing down life. And, something that, that today I took the dog for a long walk with both kids this morning, then went to play baseball with Ryan at the park, and then went for 2 scooter rides with Z, so it's like 4 or 5 hours of my day was outside, and then we're just like really stopping to look at nature and just kind of enjoying it and be like, oh, let's get the scooter ride over. And I just love seeing the siblings and families
and so many people
together. Oh yeah, I mean, it's this weather. Not to rub it into anyone around the world or those East Coasters. I mean, it's gorgeous. Like I just absolutely love it. I told Scofield, I'm like, you need to get outside and enjoy this weather today.
Okay, well, you are making it seem like I'm trying to be like a recluse, but I had to write a paper for a class. It was my last paper that I had to write, and I have to tell you, it's so hard. I am a very positive person. Like I trend positive. I can always see the silver lining, but I got to tell you, this online class about killed me. Like that's not what I almost died from, Lane, but that could have been the other thing. But it's been really hard for me because when we came back, like when spring break hit, I'm still in this class. And so everyone's processing that the school is closed. And I'm writing papers, for a class that I'm like, dude, globally, people are dying all over the place and they're getting sick. And then I have all of these things, these personal stories at my sister's house that I was like trying to process. And so that was really tough. And then I've come back here and we're trying to get our footing here, and I'm still writing papers. So like today, it was such an amazing feeling, even though I had to I knew it was a beautiful day and I really wanted to be outside, but man, that was great to be like, check that off the list.
Yeah.
I'm going to be legit for my teaching certification. I know so much about the Arizona Constitution. So if you want to have a go, I have got you. It was pretty tough, but man, I was so glad that Rob pushed that because I have not left the house socially. Like I came up to the school for the caravan. I didn't get out. I didn't talk to anybody. And then I went up to the school. As you know, I was a hot mess when we were able to get our stuff.
Yeah.
But other than that, I sit out in my backyard and stuff, but like I'm not going out socially. And I just went over to Deem Hills Park and walked over there. And it was so beautiful. Oh,
yeah.
So the potential, oh my gosh. I'm like, now that I'm outside, but I was so careful. Like you don't want, it's almost as if everyone is a perpetrator in your mind now. Like you want no one near you. So if anyone's like somewhat a little bit, I'm like, don't make me get, like some kind of mace spray or whatever it is. Like I'm not having anybody near me. So it's like this huge, how they used to talk about your personal bubble. Our personal bubbles have expanded so much, So
I think that's the hardest thing too. Like, living in SV, like there is no other place like this. And I told Christy last week, I would not want to live anywhere else on earth, and what this community means to each other. But there's that closed down feel now. It's like when you're walking by somebody, or I'll tell Mackenzie, I'm like, get off the sidewalk and go on the street here. But really, I mean, you just, everyone's always so friendly, and you'll smile and you say hi, and you just don't want anyone to, it's just that. You're missing that closeness because of what's going on in the world, and you don't like it, but that's the world we're in right now, and people got to get out. Like I saw one parent, she was almost apologizing to me like she was outside. I'm like I'm outside, like you don't have to feel bad, and and talking about like teachers, we have a bunch of student teachers on our campus, and you think about like how hard this is for them.
Yes. Yep.
They have some truly
Totally.
amazing mentor teachers, and we started our day, and I love what some of these mentor teachers are doing. Not mentor teachers, but our student teachers. I'm going to mess up Miss Gerster's student teacher. I'm just going to call her Miss M. I wish Ryan was around
Mrs.
here.
Miyagawa.
Oh, there we go. Crushed it. We've been loving, she's been reading stories on YouTube, and then Miss Perry sent out hers today. And that's how we started our day. And these are teachers that are starting in the profession, like using these things. And I tweeted out some pictures today of just both of my kids and my dog sitting there like on the edge of their seat. It was the best 5 minutes I had of my day, because Ryan just sat down and he was listening to someone else, and was not on my lap constantly. It was truly awesome, like how these educators are already adapting.
Yeah,
talk about battle tested. Their first year in the or not even, they're student teachers.
Yeah, I do. Rob and I had a long talk about them, just like how bad we feel for them, not because, oh, this must be so hard, like academically, or this must be, but like, you don't, like, I feel bad they're going to miss even an ounce of being able to be in there with those mentor teachers, because they have the most stellar, amazing, shining examples of what teaching should be, and like what a gift that they've had being in there. And so I just feel a loss for them that they haven't shortened that at all. But they're going to be such strong. They're going to learn so many things in this, which is so cool. It's funny because when I'm in full blown meltdown at the school, Kath Langford, came over to say hi, at a distance. And, I was having a hard time on my face. My eyes were a little wet. And so she just kept saying, like, you have to stop, because if you cry, then I have to hug you. And I was realizing, like, there's all these people, because I'm like that. And there's all these people that now have found a different way, since you cannot give hugs, you can't do any of that. They've found these new ways to like make people, make those connections, and it's totally different, but it's so cool because people, like, you see all those stories in other countries, like, in Spain with the police officers, that are like playing the guitar and singing to people, or like people rooftop concerts. I was talking to Michelle Thomas today, and she was telling me this amazing the thing that's come out of this is in Spain, you cannot leave your house at all. Like it is like legit lockdown, but you are allowed to go out walking if you own a dog. And they have no dogs left in the shelters to be adopted now, and it's like, you see people like, that's just the most hilarious and awesome story to me, because I'm like, that's so cool. But, people are adjusting and they find their new realities, and there's all these little positive stories. Like I told Rob yesterday, my son doesn't really listen to the podcast on a regular, so I can say it, but he said just randomly,
probably listen to this one.
Yeah, he probably will. But he randomly said yesterday, he's like, I know this has been really hard for you, Mom, because, like you like to be around your friends and you miss teaching, but I have had so many good moments with you. Like I've really enjoyed this time. And like, he's 7th grade. And so, and I've shared a lot, like he and I have just been butting heads lately, the last couple months. It's a tough age for a teenage boy. And it has totally mellowed our relationship and has given us such like special moments, which is weird, because you would think being trapped in the house would not go well, right? For both of us to be in the house. But it's been this really special thing. So I think that that's happening like for all of us in these different ways.
Now, Christy, can you expand on like what was the hardest thing about being in your classroom the other day that got you a little choked up?
Yeah, that is an understatement. It's funny because I'm really big on live streaming on Instagram, and I do that a lot because I have so many students that follow me, and I wanted them to be able to go to school. Like I wanted them to be able to have a moment to walk in and like have this time to see the classroom. So I turned it on a live stream, and then I opened my door, and I started showing them something, and I can't remember what it was, but I just, I got so emotional.
It
And
hit
so, yeah, it hit me. Like, it really did feel, I tweeted it out, but like, it did feel like just a straight gut punch. Because what was everywhere is all the stuff they were working on. And all these things were just in pause. It was like everything just paused, and we're supposed to come back, and we're supposed to pick right up there. And it felt super, super, feels unfair, you know? It feels unfair. I feel like it's unfair for them. And, you know, everybody keeps saying like, they'll be fine. I know though, like, we'll all be fine. We're all, you know, God willing, we'll all be fine. But it's still a loss, you know, it's still a loss. And I'm never going to get this time with this group of kids. And they are not a usual group of kids. Like, they're
Sure.
pretty special. So I'm mourning that. I'm mourning the fact that, like, I liked what I was doing and I want to keep doing it just the way, you know. And then I feel sad for everything that has just shut down for them, because no matter if we get to go back on the timeline that we've set up along, we can't responsibly do stuff that is
No, there'll
typical.
be gaps. Yeah.
Yeah. We can't do the big gatherings. And like, my son's got a lead in the play. That was hard for him, you know? But he's not an 8th grader. Imagine having this play as an 8th grader. And like, you know, I think you were in there, Tony, when I found my big stack of the copies for the assembly chant. You know, it's all those rites of passages, all those little parts. And it was like looking at loss times 1,000. And it's like, it just is a wave of grief. And so, I would be fine, and then I wouldn't be fine, and then I'd be fine. And then, you know, it actually kind of reminded me a lot. Yeah, it reminded me a lot of when my dad died, because you think you're fine, and then you'll see something, or you'll look, you know, it's just things trigger it. And there was so many things, and I couldn't just pack up my stuff and go. I just had to be in there for like as long as I could possibly be in there, because I just miss it, you know.
Sure.
It's your home away from home.
Yeah, I love that. I just love it.
Now, Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think hopefully this, you know, when, not if, but when this all passes and we return to normalcy, I just hope we all keep this in the back of our mind. I think it gives us a lot of perspective to, you know, if we have a bad day or a bad week or a bad month in the future, we can look back and realize that we don't really have it that bad. Like, you know, we'll always remember the fourth quarter of 2020, you know, the closure, the quarantine, however long it lasts. Nothing will ever be to that scale. So hopefully we can always remember, you know, when, you know, a kid's getting on our nerves or a class is acting up, it just, in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter. You know, those little inconveniences are nothing compared to this. So hopefully we can use this as an opportunity to appreciate how good we do have it, you know, globally, most of the time.
It gives you wicked perspective.
Yeah.
Like, it really does. And it basically,
so many things we take for granted.
Yeah. It boils all down to the simple things. And actually, I have that meme, you know, the Zach Galifianakis one. And it's like, you miss one day and all this stuff. And Ellie goes, oh my gosh, this thing is so appropriate for you right now. She's like, it's like one day and then all this stuff happened. I was like, that is so true. But, you know, I hope that we do, like, that we can always have that, like, in the back of our mind, like, you know, it could be worse. And like,
absolutely.
Yeah. And well, you know, really one of the things that really set me off was Rob asked me to take a picture of Nailed It wall. And I loved it. I love that idea. And I go over and it's like, it's a whole history of, you know, failure and learning from failure and all these moments. Like, one of them was like Cam Romano. He got his braces off, and I had him staple the tardy slip, and he wrote what he was doing. And then we took a picture of him, you know, right after he got his braces off, and that's up on the wall. And so I took a picture of that for his mom and him. But it's like all of these moments I had the privilege of sharing with these kids. And so it's like, Those still happened though.
It makes
right?
them that much more special. Absolutely.
Yeah, so everything still happened. So it's a bittersweet thing, but that's the thing is you need to just say like, oh, I'm so lucky that I had all this time with this group, you know?
Yeah.
Now,
So.
Tony, now when we think about this, now how have you grown as a father, as a husband, as an administrator these last 2 weeks? Because a lot's been thrown at you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think one of my biggest like training grounds was living in the Middle East for 3 years and learning a whole new outlook on life and outlook on the importance of work and family and perspective. So, I won't get into too much, but it takes a lot to shake or rattle me because I've seen a lot of things. And I think you realize the older you get that life is not fair and life doesn't owe you anything, and that's just the way it is sometimes. So it's our job, 90% of life is how you react to setbacks and to failure and to shortcomings and to issues that come up. And you can choose to dwell on, the negative, and you can choose to dwell on, well, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be like this. It's not, this isn't what I signed up for. Or you can use it as an opportunity to get outside your comfort zone where real growth happens and, improve yourself as whatever, as a, like you said, as a professional, as a father, as a, husband, whatever that may be. I probably have Googled a couple times if there's boarding schools for 1-year-olds.
Seems right.
I haven't found any yet, but I've had a few of those days. So I've probably been I've probably been more frustrated at home just with the craziness of being cooped up. Luckily, like Thunderbird Mountain is kind of in my backyard. I can run right to it. And I've never seen so many people out on Thunderbird all around, pretty much every day I've been out there, it's been packed, which is cool to see people out. And still not congregating in groups, but just, everyone's kind of keeping their distance on the trail and saying hi. And it is kind of cool to see so many people out and about that you don't normally see. So it's just another, it's just going to make us all stronger is getting through this. And it's going to be some short-term pain, but some long-term growth.
I saw today, and I know our friend Liz was doing the same thing yesterday, but when I went out and was going walking, there was a dad and he had this massive, massive kite, and he was getting his 2 little girls to try and help launch it. And I got to tell you, they're not amazing at launching kites. The poor guy was just really trying, but I wanted to, if
Charlie
social,
Brown.
if social distancing was not a thing, I was so curious to know, do you normally do this, or is this bringing out the better side of us all? Because then farther down, there was another dad, and he had 3 girls, and they had put out a picnic blanket, and they had badminton stuff. So I thought of you, Rob, and he's trying to teach his girls how to play badminton. And it's like all of these moments, all these people are just doing these really small things, that I think are the things that you never have time to do. You don't make time to do them. Because you're just trying to stay afloat, and there's so much on our plates and stuff. And so I feel like you see so much community, and I also wonder what we'll see in our families, not our individual families, but our SV family. When we all come together, I think people are going to be even tighter knit in that respect, just because they have a new norm,
Yeah. And the cool thing is the number of families that are out there, they're doing things. And, my wife has been trying to go through my son's room forever to clear out his toys. And I'm so thankful. Every day he's pulling out these new toys. He's I'm all right, let's play with this. And we often talk about our campus about working on those soft skills, and these parents are being more creative than ever. And there's so many resources out there, people sharing things and getting these kids to think and learn in a different way. These kids are going to be doing things a whole new way. And these kids are going to come back different learners and better people because of all of this. And I tell my kids every day, I'm like, we have to cherish these moments because we don't know how long we'll have this. We'll never have this,
Right.
hopefully in our lifetime. And I've been just trying to embrace every moment of it and love every second of it.
Yeah, I think though, I do think that all of that, we will have so many of these. We're just going to have so many of these. I wonder how it makes us look next year. Like what teachers will look like when we come through the door next year, like, I just wonder how all that translates. And like, I just hope, sometimes when you experience, I mean, I guess I kind of want to call it a tragedy, but I don't think that's the right word, but a really intense event. Things, you make these changes and everybody's like, oh, I'm all on board, and you make all these changes. And then a lot of that stuff falls by the wayside. I'm so curious to see what things we hold on to. What will be the things that stick that we don't let, fall by the wayside, because there's so many good things. Like there's so many good things. But I'm really curious. I will tell you, I think that I can't high five going forward, like in good conscience, like my high fiving days are done. So I'm not
That's your
willing
thing though.
to.
That means so much to
I know.
everybody.
I know it
that's
does.
such a
And
part of your culture.
it is, but not that I won't do something, but I'm going to come up with a way that, like, it's hard. It's hard to not feel scarred about that, and I'm so grateful that we don't have a major outbreak here and that we didn't have to close our schools. Like, I would have had a lot of, I wouldn't say guilt, but like, I would have felt like, you would hate for that to be. So I'm just kind of like, this is good to know. I never knew how bad I was at hand washing. I didn't know, how, it's fascinating to me. And then Rob was saying that, was it you? I think it was you talking about pay attention. Oh no, it was Danelle said that Deb Moore said, pay attention, kids, to the careers that are still going strong right now. Like, these are the things to pay attention to. And who are they? Like, it's teachers, it's doctors, it's nurses, it's these people that do service. It's these people that they're the essentials. And it's really telling right now that those are the rock. That's the bedrock of our world, and it's really fascinating. I thought that was such an interesting perspective though,
Yeah. And I think that also brings up a good point as far as the financial impact, hopefully just short term, that this is going to have on our families that, aren't, as fortunate and maybe have been laid off or are going to be missing paychecks or missing income, and the effect that's going to have on them and our kids. So that's why I think more, it's so important as ever to, let them know we're, SV's here for them, whatever that means and however that looks, whatever support
100%.
we can try to provide, because there's a lot of people struggling to make ends meet now, not being able to work, and hopefully we can get, back on our feet as soon as possible. But there will be some short-term struggles for sure.
Well, and so scary for kids in those scenarios,
Yep.
It's scary for everybody. Yeah, in California, we have quite a few friends and family that are in that situation. And
Right.
I'm like, I don't know how, but I know we will, I know we will get through that. And that's going to be where community is super important. You're right.
Yeah.
And it's not enough that these kids have like lost, their normalcy of like their friends and school and their day-to-day routine. And, it adds this extra burden, in the home life, and, what Shelley talked about, and how important that social and emotional piece is for these students, but even the families. And I think families are going to come, they have no other choice but to come together more than ever and support each other and dig deep. And these are hard times.
Exactly.
That's so scary. It's just so scary. Well, and I think that, like I was saying to Rob, my daughter has been like really, really panic attacks related to just fear. they're just all fearful. She can't really figure out exactly why, but she just keep being like, I'm just afraid I'm going to get this. And I'm like, but then when you talk about it with her, it's just, they're going to have a lot of anxiety and they might not know how to like deal with it, like to express it or really why, but there's just this anxiety. And so we're going to have to be so conscious of that and like intentional in what you were saying at the beginning, relationships, the connections, just connecting with kids and like pulling out from them how they're doing, because they may not be able to articulate why they feel off, but I would imagine a lot of them are holding on this anxiety. Like if a parent's job is in jeopardy or just being home altogether, like the anxiety levels that these kids are probably, experiencing, we need to be so careful with, not forgetting, like we can't forget that. We need to address it and we need to make sure that the kids are okay because it's so much to process.
And realizing, their kids not knowing, what the financial situation may or may not be with their parents. And, they probably should know everything, but knowing that there's extra stress at home. And I just like to if there's any families or parents struggling out there, if there's any way we can help, if they could reach out, to me and to us and to the community in general, we will try to do whatever we can to support any families who may need a little more during this time. I also want to put a plug out there that Deer Valley is serving free breakfast and lunch to any and all kids 18 or under. The closest location for us is at Arrowhead Elementary School down, I guess it's 75th and Union Hills. Mm-hmm. Every day, Monday through Friday, they're giving lunch and breakfast out if you want to go.
And it's like a drive up. So it's like you can just like stay in your car and kind of drive through.
Grab your meal.
To go through there.
Yeah, and that's open to absolutely anybody. There's no paperwork or financial paperwork you need. You just, if you've got a kid, we'll feed them.
Right.
That's awesome.
And then, and we're going to talk about, you talked about Virtual Spirit Week. Tell us about Virtual Spirit Week. What do we have on Monday, Mr. Galietti?
Yeah, we've got a great week, actually. Brittany Lincecum and, she kind of spearheaded this event. So she kind of was developing it, and I know Shelley worked with her a little bit, but you put me on the spot a little bit, but I know Monday.
Well, I got my pen because I was like, I don't know this list.
Yeah, Monday is
I should ask Christy.
Is the indoor fort challenge.
Oh, I love it.
These are going to be some great ones.
And I will tell you, we will, if you guys send them to me, we can put these up on announcements. It would be really cool to celebrate these. Yeah,
so we want to see the pictures or videos of the best indoor forts. Send them in and, tag us on Twitter so we can see those forts, or email them to your teacher if you're not on social media. That's fine too. We want to see those forts.
Love it.
And then Tuesday, we've got the outdoor fitness challenge. So it's the same idea. What are you doing outside, whether it's, going for a walk, kicking a ball around, throwing the ball around, riding the scooter around, hiking.
You'll crush that one, Lane.
Yeah.
Nobody outdoor fitness is like you guys.
Times four.
Yeah.
So that's Tuesday. Wednesday, we have the gratitude scavenger hunt. I like that one a lot. So you have to find something outside that you enjoy, an outside activity, something useful, something that's your favorite color, something that makes you happy, something that makes you laugh, and then something that tastes good.
I like that one.
That's a good one.
Really,
yeah,
it's perfect.
And then Thursday, we have our creativity challenge. So you have to, it's kind of like our talent segment announcements. Show us a talent, a craft, a dance video, a TikTok kind of style video, build something, code something, be as creative as you can be, and post those pictures. Love and then it. Friday, of course, we have our extreme purple and green Viper Pride Fridays, sticking with that normalcy. Show off your school spirit wherever you are.
I love those.
That is awesome. Like we often talk about, like, I mean, you must pinch yourself sometimes and be like, how did I get so lucky to work, at this amazing place
Every day?
Like just, this past week, like I was telling Christy, every single day something like happened to me over the course of the week that I was like, I know I'm going to be fine. And I think Friday, like Sandra Day O'Connor dropped their Lean on Me video, and how important that was for their staff. It's just so cool, these people coming together, and SV just always does a great job of the teachers kind of running these things together and picking each other up and pushing people around them. And I'm sure you kind of feel that same way as an administrator, like how you can help other assistants and principals of what people are doing at your school to kind of pick up the morale. But I know my spirit was just on cloud 9 every single day last week, just knowing that, I work at this amazing place, and I never call it work because I just love what I do and I love the people that I work with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that has, us as principals too, there's 38 other principals and then a bunch more assistant principals or deans in the district. And all of us being able to kind of brainstorm and share ideas together has been really helpful too, because there's some innovative people and creative people that we beg, borrow, and steal from all the time, and try and share out what we're doing at Sierra Verde. So hopefully it can help some other people and some other campuses get through this too. And just like we said, it's that camaraderie. We're all in this together, and we're going to get through it. We're going to thrive as best we can.
And the teachers are going to grow so much. They're going to learn so many things, and education is going to be in a better place because of what we're going through right now, as not only country but the entire world.
Yeah,
this is going to. I think this has the potential to really make big changes in education, and I think the potential is there for several of those changes to be really good.
Lasting,
I really do. It's I don't want to say it's an exciting time, because that's definitely not the word, but it's going to be fascinating to be part of this, and like to be part of that change. I think
I agree. I think it's going to accelerate some of the changes that have been kind of coming too. It's going to kind of see that hockey stick acceleration of some paradigms that are going to change. We've got a lot of stuff changing anyway for next year in terms of curriculum standards that the state and the country is moving towards, preparing kids for a different world. And boom, all of a sudden we all have to do it overnight.
Yeah, it's funny because I keep thinking, like, how am I gonna teach this new curriculum? I gotta tell you, I'm pretty sure at this point I can do anything.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true.
I do feel kind of like I don't have a lot of anxiety about it, because I'm like, that doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it's going to be fine, because you realize how truly adaptable we can be,
Absolutely.
if we decide to be.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
All right, people. Well, we're going to end it on that note. Again, we can't encourage you enough. Please reach out to your teachers, your school administrators, reach out to someone in your family. We cannot stress enough like how important your social and emotional well-being is in this time as parents. I know I've been on a couple roller coasters with my kiddos, and where I have to look at myself and take a step back and remind myself how much I love those beautiful children. As we always say, remain healthy and happy. And if you can be anything in the world, be kind, people. Now, if you loved hearing stories like that, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Every Tuesday, the latest episode of The Nailed It Wall will be downloaded right to your phone. If you want to see pictures of stories, videos, everything that you want, you can follow us on Twitter. You can find me at Mr. Lane, the STEM guy.
And me at A Positive Proton.
You can follow Sierra Verde at SV Viper Pride.